Well, I've worked on the sky and I've pushed it right through. I've left this section here, and that's what we'll do in the final part of this blocking in stage of the sky and the ocean. I did add some darker tones here rather than just sticking with the one. That's completely up to you. It's quite easy once this is dry to put darker colours on top. In fact, it's easier to do it that way, so you might want to wait. I just had a bit of a shot at that. I think overall I'm moving in the right direction. It's not a disaster. I've got the sky sort of doing what it needs to be doing, and I've got my ocean about the right tonal value. It's a bit green, so I'll bring that back towards blue. And now if I add that little bit of bright sky on the right hand side, that will really, I hope, make things look even more realistic. So let's have a go at that now in this last section. I've been working with a bit of a dark mix, and I'm going to go to a lighter mix here. So it's probably a good idea to just get the brush cleaned up a bit. That could probably be enough, but you could just give it a bit of a clean here in the terps. You can see that coming out of the terps. You can see the pigment still coming out of it. So I'll put the terps off to the side, and then I'll just use that to clean my brush. Wipe it back down. I put oil on it if it was going to sit for a time, but because it's going to go straight into use, I won't bother. You have got your bowls. I am going to clean this one out. And I'll just open that up, and I'll keep that for next time. I'm not sure how far you want to push this, but this is that's my bin full of nice dry paper towels, and I have really cut my use of paper towels down. So it's just really just try to reduce my environmental impact. Okay, so I want to mix this. If we look at it as a colour on Procreate, it's actually quite green, quite a lot greener than you would think. It's, we were working around here, so from pure blue towards tealy, and now it's getting towards a green colour. There's not a lot of it in the mix. It's predominantly a white mix with a little bit of black and a little bit of that colour, but I would say primary cyan would be good. So I just get a little bit of burnt umber. Can I just say to you that on your painting, there shouldn't be lumps and bumps. You should have just kept nice horizontal brush strokes, and the whole thing should be looking, nice and flat, not big lumps of paint or lumps of liquid. So I only ever just dip my brush in the liquid and get a little bit on the bottom. The liquid allows this to dry quickly. Okay, I'm going to use primary cyan. And I'm going to predominantly put white in there. So what I might do, I'll show you this one that I worked on beforehand. It was just a proof of concept painting. I was just trying to make sure I could get this to work. I think this is a little bit on the light side. Fine, I can darken that up, no problems. So I'm going to deliberately go a little bit darker. And it's really useful to know it is a green colour. Sometimes I struggle to see that. Although when you use the colour checker like that, it does give you a clue that is in fact what's going on. So look, Let's just try that. Okay, so that's, I'm just getting a bit more coverage. This is my previous painting. I am going to go just a little bit bluer than that. So I'll grab a little bit more primary cyan, and you can see tonally I've just dropped it a fair bit. I'll get everything out of my brush so that I have got things fairly well mixed. And that's a little bit bluer. Nice. Okay. So this is the sort of thing, you know, you would do as a second step. You come in after everything's dry, like I did this yesterday, and then I can come in and I can go, okay, I think that should be a little bit bluer. Let's make it a little bit bluer. So that one's good. I'm quite happy with my colour mix on that. So let's go ahead with this one. I've got my colour more or less mixed up. It's in the ballpark, and so I'm going to put that in. I've run out having 2 paintings on the go. Got that, and then I use titanium white just to tonally get it down a little bit. It was a little bit too blue. Let's try that. That's acceptable. I don't put too much pressure on myself. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to put it in my kitchen or somewhere I can look at it, and then I'll come back and make adjustments one way or the other. My paint's not terribly thick, so my coverage is not that good. You can see the burnt umbers showing through. But equally, you can see that when I came back for a second time and put a coat on, I got a really good coverage. So look, I'll put it to you that we are probably going to paint this area 3 or 4 more times to try and get it right. So there's a little bit of work to do on that. And that's the sort of, you know, have we got those clouds right? Have we got that colour right? Certainly down here it goes to a yellowy colour. So let's have a look at that. Again here, my yellow colour was a bit lame. So I'm going to use some cadmium yellow in that mix. Holy smoke, that cadmium yellow is just dynamite. I'm going to, on my iPad, just check my colour that I've got on that. Okay, so it's a yellow, but it's going towards green, which is certainly what's happening here, because I'm putting a yellow in with a bluey mix. And that's what happens, it goes towards green. And I would put it to you, oh, that is horrible. So always good to see me make some mistakes. I'm bogged, I'm backing out. I am backing out of here. That was a bad mistake. I'm going to put that aside. I don't want that. I'm going to start again. So let's try again with this yellow. It's not that yellow, it's more like a browny yellow. So I'm going to use some of my, what I call Old Mate, because Old Mate gets used a lot. And that's why we call it Old Mate. And you don't have to remember that it's called burnt umber. So tonally, way too dark. So I'm going to lift the tonal value now with white. Tonally, still way too dark. And you can see that against here. Interesting. Too dark, but definitely making progress. If you see those 2 colours side by side, you can see why I got rid of that. That was just hopelessly bogged. I wasn't going to recover that. So this is still a little bit too dark, but I'll show you a bit of a dirty trick I've got here. I'm putting it in as a colour. It's a bit too strong, but I'm just going to put my brush down and I'm just going to feather this a bit. So that it's got a more kind of even transition. And look, bit yellow. I could try and recover that, but you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to add white and put that on top. So I think that's a pretty good day's work for this first class. If we could get the ocean in, and that sky and that blue and that white, and we've roughly got our tonal values right, we look at our iPad and we go, yeah, we're sort of pretty well there. It's good. It's good. So that's that's what I'll go on and do now with this other piece, and I'll have two that are in reasonable form. You notice I put that bit in there. You're welcome to do that. I wouldn't put in the orange bits yet, but you know, you're all big people, you can make your own decisions, but I would use that, leave that more for the detail stage. Okay, so we'll finish it there.